Hello and welcome to Sikit-Sikit Info, a podcast series by KBC Industrial Supplies. In this series, we bring together industry experts to share insights that matter to today's industries. Today, we're excited to talk about the topic, the Decarbonisation Pulse. Enjoy the podcast.
So today we're going to talk about bridging the gap between the engineering and finance for the industrial energy. So I'll be your host today. My name is Jin, and we will have Daowei here from ENGIE. So maybe Daowei could give us a brief understanding of what you do.
Sure, thanks, Jin. So my name is Daowei. I currently lead the business development team and the activities for ENGIE in the northern region of Malaysia. And I'm really glad and excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation. Maybe for those less familiar with ENGIE, we're actually a global energy and utility company with a presence in Malaysia for more than 14 years now. So we really leverage on our presence as a global leader in urban cooling, as well as in delivering corporate power purchase agreements to really help our clients to achieve their decarbonization goals and to accelerate the transition to a carbon neutral economy. So very excited to have the conversation that we'll be having in a bit.
Thanks for having us here with us, Daowei. So today, myself will be both a host and also representing energy side of things. So I'm from Net Carbon. We help our clients to decarbonize their factory operation through energy efficiency and energy transition technology. So some of this you're very familiar through solar, through drive, through high efficiency motor. And of course, we do services to help our client to bridge the gap in understanding their energy profile as well. So there's some of the things we do. So today, I think we have a rather exciting topic because we all understand that the energy side of things for industrial segment is getting heated, and everyone was talking about how do you meet engineering needs. That means making sure that the plants are reliable while balancing the bottom line of a factory operation. So let's talk a little bit more about the landscape today we are looking at in Malaysia. So Daowei, what do you think about the rising costs in the industrial energy sector?
So the aspect of rising cost in the energy sector has always been on the forefront of a lot of manufacturers. And the reason is obvious. It's because it immediately hits the bottom line, it hits the profitability, and the discussion is always right at the top of the boardroom, right? And I think what we see today is also a confluence of rising energy costs and increasing requirements in terms of compliance with some of the upcoming regulations, influence both locally and internationally. That have really, I would say, changed the way that manufacturers have to think for their operations, not only for their sales locally, but also their sales globally, which is where many manufacturers in Malaysia, they're producing not just for Malaysia, but actually for the entire world.
Definitely. You mentioned about regulation. So what are the regulations that you see that's shaping our landscape today?
I think one of the most recent one is the Energy Efficiency Conservation Act. So that has recently come into play. And I think what that has shifted is shifted the landscape and the perspective from the aspect of voluntarily enforcement, voluntarily aspects of energy efficiency to mandatory compliance. And that changes the landscape entirely, right? And I think it's going to have a very big impact on the industry. It's already starting to. But it's really going to crystallize what used to be a bit more of a black box. I mean, for many manufacturers, the amount of and focus that they have on energy efficiency is how does this impact on my bill, right? What does my TNB bill go up from month to month? And from there, what conclusions can I draw from it?
Yes.
The Energy Efficiency Conservation Act will go much deeper. It will compel manufacturers to dive deeper into their data, if the data is already existing, which is one of the challenges I think we are all well versed in. And from there, once you've identified something, it's in your face. It's no longer just something you can put to the side. It's a number. It's a number that's nagging at you. what can we do about it?
Yeah, I think you brought up about energy costs, and I think most of the audience is aware that GMB have did a major revamp on the tariff structure. I think July last year, 2025, and the pinch started to feel a bit harder. I would say last month because there's no one. The first thing is the maximum demand charges increased by threefold. It used to be sub 30, I think 27 ringgit, and now we're looking at 97 ringgit per kilowatt. And when we speak to our customers in the industrial sector, they don't seem to see a big change in their total bill, but the composition of the bill has shifted to more, some of them even 40 to 50% of what they pay is not the energy they use, but because of the maximum demand charges that TNB imposed due to the latest tariff. And last month, actually a week ago, we received the latest AFA, which is the variable fuel charges as a component. It used to be a negative 6 cents. No, it's all 8 cents earlier. And now it's only sub 2 cents. That means gradually you will see your bill getting more and more expensive month to month. And of course, with the recent geopolitical tension that's happening in Iran, the oil prices have spiked. And all these things will not impact us today, but we foresee the impact will materialize maybe sometime in 6 months to 1 year. Energy generally for all the factories to come forward with, on top of having additional requirements for compliance, which what Daowei mentioned earlier on the ECA itself. So from this part, I think we will want to dive in a little bit more. So as an investor, for energy assets from ENGIE perspective. So how would this be a different landscape moving forward for ENGIE? Because I think you definitely met customer who are facing this challenge, and they definitely ask like, can you help? And what do you think? Like, how can we move forward for that?
Thanks for raising the point on NG being investor. But perhaps I'll go one step further into that. So NG itself, we are typically investing in our projects into the utilities assets. But beyond just financing and investment, we really look at it as a form of partnership. Please allow me to explain a little bit more. So by partnership, we look at it from in terms of how can we partner with our clients, not just in the investment perspective, but in terms of the solution perspective, in terms of delivering the necessary outcomes, that would then impact their bottom line and their business profitability over a long period of time. And to add on to that encompasses many different aspects, right? You're looking at energy prices as a key component.
Yep.
I mean, typically, energy costs are, depending on the type of systems, 30 to 60% of the overall cost of the utilities.
Yep.
Right? You mentioned earlier with regards to the transition or the change from a negative 8 cents on alpha to negative 2 cents. 6 cents, what does it actually mean in terms of energy bills, or at least in terms of the tariffs? It could be typically about 20% of electricity bill changing over the months.
Yeah.
And these are all factors that I would say are beyond the immediate control of the manufacturers. It's something that they have to take note of and be aware of as they make investment decisions.
Yeah.
But where we come from and on as a energy partner is more how can we working together with our clients take the longer term perspective, right? Energy prices will be fluctuating.
Yep.
We have geopolitical events, as you mentioned earlier. I would hazard a guess to guess that the APA next month would be higher than this month, right?
Yeah.
And what we see is that these decisions need to be made in the broader context of control what you can control, right? There's limited aspects of you can control in terms of the tariff, but in terms of the energy consumption, in terms of the efficiency of the systems, these are factors within your control.
Yes. Then maybe we'll pick your brains later on how do we make a better capex investment decision Yeah. So before we dive into that, we heard a lot of terminologies around. So you have EECA, ECG, CBAM, all these things. So one of the most common thing or common question that I get from the end user perspective from the industrial sector, they ask, so is what is the difference between EECA and the EACG? So all this alphabet soup floating around. So I'll take this opportunity to maybe debunk this a little bit. So EECA stands for Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act. This is a new law that was introduced and passed in the Parliament in 2024. 2025 is a year where observation and data collection is done, and we are expecting to receive letter of notice from ST for all the energy consumers that consumes more than 21,600 gigajoule of energy. So what does that translate into? If today your plant operates more than this threshold, you are subjected to this law. And what you consume will be subjected to this: electricity, natural gas, diesel, LNG, any form of energy you consume, be it electrical or thermal, is part of this calculation. Yeah. So prior to EECA, there was another regulation called EMER, EMER. If not mistaken, it was introduced 2017 or 2018. That only governs electrical. So suddenly, all the thermal intensive industry like steel, cement, uh, chemical plant, oleochem, even if you are producing your own energy using maybe a steam generator, or even you have a cogen, even though you're producing your own energy, you are subjected to it as long as you consume this much. So a good indicator is if your bill exceeded 1 million a month uh, for electricity itself, then you are likelihood underneath that category that we subjected to EECA. For the EACG stands for Energy Audit Conditional Grant. So the keyword being is grant versus the previous one versus an act. Grant means that you get money from the government. Another one is if you don't comply for the act, you get fined. So one, you have to pay bill, you have to pay fine. Another one, you get money for free. Not for nothing, there are conditions to be met. So it's a conditional grant. This has been happening for past 10 years since RMK11, which is the Malaysia 11 plant. So we are very happy to tell you that the most recent 13 Malaysian plan, which started 2026, the grant has been continued. There were allocation that was given through SEDA, the Sustainable Energy Development Authority, SEDA. So EACG will give you up to 100,000 ringgit to conduct energy audit. Of course, you have to conduct it via an energy service company that is certified by the SEDA itself. So that is one side. You get grant to do energy audit, and the money comes from SEDA. And if your consumption exceeded 21,600, you have to be complied to EECA requirement, which also has an energy audit requirement underneath itself, but it has a whole range of other requirements. Example, you have to appoint an energy manager. You also have to have engage a registered energy auditor, which is certified by ST, to conduct energy audit for you and pay out of your own pocket. So that is how it goes. But this energy audit is once every 5 years for the act, and the grant you can use it once a lifetime. Yeah, so there's no such thing that every 5 years you get a new grant. So these two can come hand in hand, and you will need to consult your respective energy service company to tailor that for you, depending on your industry size, your factory size, and depending on whether it's subject to EECA and other conditions within the grant itself, because you will sign a contract with SEDA, because money given by government, you are also subjected to energy saving commitment. Yeah. So if I were to actually summarize it, I would say if today you could utilize the grant to help you kick off to do energy audit, that is perfect. because at least you will get not 100,000, maybe 60, 70,000 to start off with. We have a few successful cases in Malaysia through net carbon KVC, where customers choose to top up because they know that they're expected to be subjected to EECA. So maybe the grant applied successfully got 70,000, and a full compliance audit according to EECA would need 100,000. So this is top up 30,000 additional just to complete the scope itself. And of course, making sure that the audit is signed off by a registered energy auditor is very important. So that itself is the way we see how can we balance between compliance and also making sure you don't spend too much money, because bosses will always ask why I need to spend 100,000 ringgit for audit. That's too much, yeah. So yeah, I think that's one way to go around.
Thank you for joining us in this episode. We hope today's discussion has given you valuable insight into the Decarbonisation Pulse. That brings us to the end of part 1 of this episode 1. Thank you to Daowei and Jin for sharing this valuable insight with us today. Stay tuned for our part 2 episode, which will tell you more what you can do after the audit is done.